Welcome back to Karen's Kitchen. I'm going to make some buttery flaky biscuits today. I'm going to double the recipe, but I'll tell you the amounts for a single recipe, because what you can do is you can make extra and you can freeze the biscuits before baking. Put them in the freezer and you can take them out and bake them from frozen and save yourself some time having to make them a second time. So I'm going to put in 2 cups of flour. And I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just going to get that all in with my dry ingredients. And I have 1/2 cup of butter, just all cubed up. I also prepared ahead of time, which I'll add in a minute. I have my milk with some lemon juice in it to make it curdle, to turn it into buttermilk, because I don't have buttermilk. But you can create that just with regular milk. So we're just going to get the dry ingredients and the butter starting to mix. You just want that to come into a crumble together before we add in our wet ingredients. And as you can see, my milk is curdling a little bit. I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit thicker. So I'm going to put in 3/4 cup of milk while it's mixing. And you just want to bring it all together. And then we're going to put it on the counter. So I'm just going to clean up my counter and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. All right, I'm dumping this on my counter. As you can see, it's not barely together at all. What you're going to want to do is work your dough a little bit, and you're going to want to bring it into a ball. You don't want to be over mix it in the mixer, because we want our biscuits to be very, very flaky. And we're going to treat it a little bit like a pastry dough. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to create kind of a rectangle. And I can still see all my little chunks of butter in here because my butter was cold. And you're going to create the envelope effect where you're folding over in thirds. And then we're going to flatten that out again, work it into a rectangle again. And by doing all of these folds, we're going to get lots of nice layers in our biscuits. All right, so that was 1/3. And now we're going to do it again. And each time you do this, you'll see your dough comes together a little bit better. I had also put a little bit of flour on my counter just so it won't stick. And you're going to work this into another rectangle. So that was 2 times where we did our thirds. And we'll do a 3rd time. This is going to give us all those nice layers in the biscuit. And I want to make sure it's not going to stick to my counter. So make sure you get a little bit of flour underneath there. So that was 3 times. And now we're going to turn this into a nice rectangle. And we want it to be about 1 inch thick. I can still see all my nice little chunks of butter in there. And I'm going to take a biscuit cutter, and I'm going to cut out my biscuits. This is about a 2.5 inch circle. And these ones, you can freeze them like this so that they're ready to go for another day, which is what I'm going to do with a bunch of them. Or we'll bake them up right away. So we're going to be baking some up for dinner tonight, and I'm going to put some in the freezer. And once you've gone through all your circles, you might need to put your dough back together to get a few more out of all the little pieces that are left. So I'm just going to get all these biscuits ready to go, and you'll be able to, it's going to be very hard to see on the video, but there are all sorts of layers in there, which is going to really rise up nice on these biscuits. So I'm just going to get these all cut up, get them in the oven. I'm going to bake them at 425 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. And these are going to be the best biscuits you've ever tasted. All right, so I've got 8 biscuits ready for the freezer so that I can bake these up another time. I would say maybe when you do that, thaw them while the oven preheats and then pop them in the oven next time. I have my ones that are ready to go in the oven. I just have on a piece of parchment paper, 425, 12 to 15 minutes. You want to make sure they do get baked through. I can already see though, there's so many nice little layers. These are going to be nice and fluffy. I'll show you what they look like once they come out of the oven. All right, look at those, look at the layers in that one there. Wow. These are the nicest biscuits. Just look at all those layers. Easy to rip open and layer on with some butter and jam if you like. Buttery Flaky Biscuits. Give them a try. So these ones are baked up right away, and I have those other ones in the freezer to try another time, just from frozen, which will also work, but these are great. Give them a try next time. Look at all those layers in there. You just pull it apart. Best biscuits ever.